Okay, so I believe I have everyone here. Hopefully I can find everyone that I need and the faces that I need. So welcome. It's really important that that we can put ourselves on mute and stay on mute if we can. We have the chat function available if you'd like to pop any questions in there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this is all going to
I think we
it's
have
all
some
going to
people
go
that
clean.
help here.
It's okay. Thank you. All right, here we go. So, Liana, can you give me a thumbs up if the slides changed?
Yep.
Beautiful. Okay. So, welcome to our families. I'm Lisa Vandenbosch. I'm the principal of Botanic Ridge Primary School. Really great to have you here this evening and great to connect with you, even if it is in this slightly unusual way. And that starting point of this journey for your child, really important to us to connect with you and then to keep that connection going as we move forward. So I would like to acknowledge and take the opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the respective lands on which we meet. We recognise their continuing connection to land, to water and community, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. And we're coming to you from Bunurong land here today. So I'd like to introduce you to some of the staff and they're going to give you a big wave. So welcome to Megan Comben, who is our acting AP. Welcome to Scott Bloomfield, who is our Learning Community Coordinator. Welcome to Michelle Simons, Classroom Teacher Foundation this year. Also welcome to Liana Rauber, a Foundation Teacher this year. And finally, welcome to Charlotte Ray Cornell, who's also a Foundation Teacher with us this year. So great to have them here all this evening with us as we start this journey together. And I believe we're passing over to Charlotte.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. It's lovely to get to see all of the new families and see those names pop up of students. It starts to feel very real and very exciting. We'll start off by talking about our school values. Our school is on the basis of school-wide positive behaviour support system, and that is integrated through all of which we do at Botanic. We value growth, both academic and personal. We have respect and encourage that in students so they can have respect for themselves, for others, as well as our environment. We encourage students and ourselves to be responsible for our actions. That's something that we hold really dear. And we value safety. So students being safe with others, especially in these kind of climates, and safety in our land and our environment.
Thanks, Charlotte.
We have 4 school house groups, and we're very honoured to represent local Aboriginal communities and families. We have Harrison in green or flora, Terrick, which is our rust, which also represents our earth, Charles, which represents blue and our water, and Walker, which is our yellow and representing the sun house.
Thank you, Charlotte. Okay, so our uniform. So here across the top, we have lots of different photos of the uniform options that are available to you and your children. We don't have a specific summer-winter option. We understand that you know your children best and how they regulate. For example, we have some boys and girls who would like to wear shorts all year and would never put a jumper on. So it's really you buy the uniform and then you and your child would decide on the day what would help, what would be best for them on that particular day. You can see on the far left of the screen, we have a two-piece that the little girl has on there with her hat. So it is like a culottes, like shorts or skirt and a top. When it's together, it looks a bit more like a dress. It enables the children to be able to cartwheel and turn and tumble and do all the things that they want to do, whilst having the comfort of having that sort of shorts on. Standing next to her is a different option. You can see the little girl in her polo shirt there, and she has, again, a skirt on, a navy blue skirt, which is like a gabardine fabric, like a cotton fabric. Beautiful Madden standing next to her with his big cheesy grin. You can see that he has the shorts on there. Girls can absolutely wear the shorts if that's what they would like to wear. And then we can see Harris standing proudly next to him, and he is in his long pants and long polo top. Again, girls can wear this if they wish to. And then next along, we have our tunic, again, which is in a heavy sort of navy cotton winter fabric. Oh, has anyone else got no sound? No, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Excellent, thank you. Yeah, so she has the tunic on there with the white shirt underneath. Next to her, we have Mia, who is showing you our new school jumper. This is just a piece that has just been introduced this year at the request of the parents. It is a wool blend jumper that is able to be washed. So it's particular wool blend that it's created from enables you to throw it in the washing machine. Next to her, we have our, in replace of just, I guess, a wind cheater, this is our zip front jacket. It's in a fabric that's more like a wind cheater fabric. It enables the children, again, to regulate their temperatures just a little bit more by being able to either wear it open or zipped up. And then finally, on the far right there, we have the little girl there in her, it's more of a windproof, showerproof jacket, and that one's also available. So down the bottom, you can see a couple of items that you will also purchase from primary school wear. There's our book bag, which is really important. Lots of notes and messages will go home in that, of course, and the child's daily reading tasks and words, for example, will go home in that. You will need to buy one of those this year from primary school wear. There is the school hat that children need to wear at particular times of year. So term 1, definitely. And then from about August moving forward to the end of the year. So we have the questions going into the chat, and we will come back to them. So thank you. I do have a staff member recording those. The tracksuit pants and sports skirts and shorts, like microfiber shorts, for example, are for the days the children have PE, and they wear that with their polo top. Again, black shoes, absolutely okay to have Velcro, lace up, T-bar, whatever suits your child. And on the day that they have PE, then they can rock out their bright pink Nikes or their lime green Adidas, whatever they want to wear when they're coming in on PE days. So just if you have any questions about uniform, pop them in the chat. We will get to you. It is perfectly okay to buy pieces from, for example, if you can find navy shorts at Big W, as long as they're that dark navy, that's perfectly okay. If you can find, again, navy skirts somewhere else, that's perfectly okay. Doesn't have to come from primary school wear. You will, of course, have to get the polo shirt and the jumpers from primary school wear because they have our logo on them. So just, as I said, any questions about uniform, pop them in the chat and I'll get back to you on those. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, so in terms of our core purpose of being a school, we are here to educate your child. So we follow the Victorian curriculum, and that curriculum we have broken down into 4 main areas. So the first one is our fundamentals. So the fundamentals, we believe the most important thing, we want our children at Botanic Ridge to be literate and to be numerate. So we follow the English curriculum and the mathematics curriculum. You probably will have heard about Hour of Power, and that will be spoken about very shortly. But Hour of Power helps us to cover off a few other areas of the curriculum, such as digital technologies, ethical capabilities, so understanding what's right, what's wrong, some intercultural capabilities, starting to learn about different cultures as well. And then there's obviously a big part in foundation is looking at the personal and social capabilities. So really understanding their own emotions, understanding the emotions of others, starting to learn ways to get along with each other as well. The next part is our learning quest. So our learning quest is a time where we can focus on some other areas of the curriculum. I might have skipped ahead, Lisa.
Oh, sorry.
So we focus on some different areas of the curriculum, our history, geography, and a few other things. Finally, there's our specialists. So we have art, STEM, PE. We do also teach music. Classroom teachers will take performing arts, as we do have a performing arts space, beautiful space that we can use, and we've got instruments and things like that. The last one is LOTE, so language other than English. So next year we're starting Spanish from years 1 to 6, and with the possibility in term 2 of including our foundation students as well. So the way our LOTE program works is that it's actually done via WebEx. So there's a native speaker from the company. So we have Spanish, and they tune in via WebEx. Some of the Spanish teachers are from a part in South America, so for some of them it's very late at night when they're teaching the kids. But there may be also others that are in Australia, and so the kids interact with them through via WebEx, and that teacher really helps to facilitate that lesson. Next slide, thanks, Lisa. So in terms of literacy, the most important things that we're focusing on is really developing their oral language skills. We want them to be able to communicate effectively with others and with adults, to be able to understand as well what's being asked of them. One very heavy thing that we focus on in Foundation is phonics, and we follow a structured synthetic phonics approach. So that just means that there is I guess, a scope and sequence as to these are the sounds that we're learning. Then we move on to the next sounds after that. And it's very structured in the way we do it. Part of it is also that we are teaching them reading and writing at the same time. We don't want children to be really good at reading, but their writing isn't as good. So we want to try and make sure that they match together. So things that what we focus on in phonics, so building that knowledge of sounds. We don't tend to start with the knowledge of the letter names. We focus on the sounds for those letters, because ultimately once they've got the sounds, then they can start putting them together to read words. We then include spelling, so there are certain sounds that can be written in multiple ways. So we start to explore some of those. We teach blending, and that's just being able to put the sounds together. So to be able to go cat is the word cat. But we also talk about segmenting, so that's breaking the word up into the sounds so that they're able to write the word. So if we say we're going to write the word dog, they know that they can go d, o, g. And I guess probably something very important to know, and you'll soon discover when they start to learn phonics, is that we are very particular about how they pronounce the sounds. So if at home and you're doing some reading with them and you happen to say the wrong sound, they will very quickly pick you up on it. Perhaps they're very good at doing that. The last part of phonics is sound manipulation. So being able to, I guess, change words or change sounds in words to make new words. So it could be we're going to make the word dog into lob. So being able to understand that the first sound is changing in that instance. We teach something called our high frequency words. So those are words that do have some irregular spellings, and we call them our camera words. But later on, or next term in term 1, we'll actually have an information session for you guys to go through a little bit more about literacy in particular, and just ways that you can support at home. I guess give you a bit more of an understanding as well. And this usually coincides with take-home books starting to come home as well, just so that you're a bit more prepared for when they start to bring books home. We talk about comprehension, so being able to understand what they're reading. It's really important. It's great when kids can read the words on the page, but they also need to be able to understand what's happening in the story. Big one is handwriting, so being able to form letters, and then obviously we work on sentence writing as well. Next slide, thanks, Lisa.
Doesn't want to move. Sorry.
So in terms of handwriting, just a quick thing, we use South Australian font. I know there's probably kinders who are starting to get them used to writing their name, and probably many are showing them the Victorian cursive, but we don't actually choose to teach that. We've chosen the South Australian font. It is a much easier font to teach. Children, there's no flicks, no kicks, and it's very similar to what they're going to see in books. So you've noticed the closed B and the closed D, very similar to what they're going to see in a book. But it's very important that we focus on getting the correct letter formation from the get-go, just so that they don't fall into bad habits. Bad habits are very hard to reteach sometimes. So if when they are writing at home, if you can start to try and say to them, oh, we start this letter at the top, or we start this letter here, just getting a really good starting spot is good for them. Thanks, Lisa. In terms of numeracy, some things to expect that they're going to learn. Things like counting, number recognition. So we focus on the numbers we start by focusing on the numbers up to 10 in the beginning, but then we work towards 20, and then we sort of go beyond as well. We'll look at patterns, addition, subtraction, division. You'll notice that there's no multiplication, so don't stress if your child isn't knowing their multiplication facts, their times tables. They don't learn that in prep. That's not for a few years down the track. We learn things like days of the week, comparing length, mass, capacity, using words like this one holds more, this one's longer, this one's shorter, learning some basic shapes, so being able to name 2D and 3D shapes, some location words, as well as collecting and displaying just yes/no data. I think the really important thing to know about numeracy is that it is very hands-on. We do, lots of activities where they're moving things around, and it's very language-driven as well. So being able to understand certain concepts, most of it comes down to language as well. But probably one thing that I really want to stress to people is that we really want to start children off with a positive attitude towards mathematics. I know there's probably a lot of people who may have not had good experience with mathematics while they were at school. So it's really important that you probably don't share that with them, that we try to make maths sound fun, it's exciting, we really want them to be excited about it. And that certainly makes learning a lot easier when children are excited to learn about something. Next slide, thanks, Lisa. All right, probably something that is a little bit different with our school is in terms of our reporting. So we believe that we really want to keep you up to date with how your child is performing academically. So this is why we've actually chosen to do something called progressive reporting. So it means that doesn't mean that at the end of term 2 you're going to get one report and that tells you exactly how they're going. We report throughout the term, so throughout the year. So we have 4 learning tasks per term. So there's one for our hour of power, there's one for mathematics, one for reading, and one for writing. So each term you'll receive via Compass, which is our platform that we use, you'll receive a task that your child has completed at school independently. And so with that task, there will be a photo of it, a comment about their achievement and some future goals or future learning, as well as a grading, so that you know where they're sitting in terms of that standard. Are they working at the standard? Are they working towards the standard? Are they working above the standard? We do also have semester reports. Semester reports are really just a culmination of all of those learning tasks put together, along with something called their progression points. So I've got a little image on the slide here that just shows you this is what the progression points are. So it's just a little dot within a highlighted area, and it just shows where your child is sitting. Are they sitting at the standard? Are they sitting below it? Are they sitting above the standard as well? So in terms of the learning tasks, you'll always receive a Compass message, and we usually put it up on our social media as well to say that our reading task is ready for you to access, so that you can go in there and you can read it straight away. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Scott. So for those of you who haven't had an opportunity to walk through the learning community, please be assured that tours are available again now, so contact the office. We'd love to take you for a walk through the learning community. So we have a yellow double learning community and a green double learning community, and your children will be in the green one. So each end of this building has been created to house approximately 100 children. We have about 70, between 70 and 80 preps down in one end of the green community next year. And you can see that there are different spaces within the community. We have a space called the amphitheatre space where they can sit on the step seating. There are small withdrawal spaces. There's also reading nooks and breakout areas and small explicit teaching areas. So the foundation staff are well versed in being able to use those spaces. We have the children have their own teacher, their home group teacher that they will be with for most of the time, but there is some movement throughout the learning community when they move into and out of different groups so that we can capture students learning at their absolute potential. So we're very lucky that we have our air conditioning installed now, so we're feeling great about that, ready for next summer. And it's a beautiful light-filled space. So as I said, if you haven't had an opportunity to have a look through the space, please contact us for a tour and we'd be happy to take you through. So Liana?
Yep. So at Botanic Ridge, we use a school-wide positive behaviour support program, and it's an evidence-based program which we like to use, and it creates a positive environment for the students and the staff as well for learning. So we try and focus on solutions rather than problems, and we really like to reward students who demonstrate our school values, which Charlotte mentioned earlier. If a student is not following one of our school values, we try and remind them of what to do rather than telling them off for what not to do. So, for example, instead of just yelling at a child or saying, "Don't run," we would say, "Bobby, at Botanic Ridge, we keep safe by walking inside the learning community." Or another example might be if in a classroom, we might really emphasize a student that's being respectful. We might say, "I love the way Molly's being respectful by showing 5-star listening and keeping her hands to herself." So we try and keep positive and keep rewarding students that show our school values. When a student does demonstrate our school values, we give out these things called power ups. So you'll probably hear all about them as soon as your children get them. Power ups are a positive reward for demonstrating our school values. So you'll receive a compass notification when they get a power up, and it will tell you what your child got a power up for, if they were being, whether they were being safe or responsible, whether they've shown growth or being respectful. So with those power ups, students can spend prizes. So students can receive prizes. So these are called power plays. So they collect their power ups and they'll spend them on individual rewards such as prizes, like being a classroom helper, choosing a prize from a prize box, iPad time, lunch with another classroom, or they can put their points towards like a whole class reward. So the whole class might be able to do a movie afternoon once we get 100 points. So that's a little bit about our school-wide positive behaviour support program.
Thanks, Liana. Megan?
All right, so one thing is quite unique to our school is our hour of power. So when we were creating the school, we found this was really something that we felt really that the community needed, and what we really felt really wanted our children to develop in and to become really respectful and capable citizens when they're older. So we looked at the curriculum and we decided to use the capabilities in the Victorian curriculum to create this hour of power, which we teach every day. So we teach our literacy and our numeracy in the mornings, and we teach hour of power in the afternoon. So we've got 4 areas of which we focus heavily on. We focus on mighty minds, which is about their managing their own emotions and how to read others and how to read their emotions. We look at cultural curiosity, and we have a heavy focus on the Aboriginal Australians, and we learn a lot about what's happened in the past and how we can move forward and move forward in that area. And we also look at and we appreciate other cultures. and really inquire and ask questions and not be afraid of different cultures out in the community. Another area is our respectful relationships, and that's how we learn about valuing our friendships and how we can get along with others and how to really cope in challenging situations. And then we have another side to our power, which is the digital diligence, which is all about how to be safe online, as well as how to find a balance so that children aren't always on their iPads or computers and making an appreciation of doing other things. So we really teach them skills that, we don't want, you shouldn't be on the computer forever. We want you to experience life and to have a really great balance. So we do that every day, most days, and that's a whole school focus, and we use the Victorian curriculum to outline how we're going to teach that and sequence that through the school. Another thing that's quite unique to our school is the learning quest. So with our other parts of the curriculum, the curriculum is quite broad. There's got the literacy and the numeracy, and then it has all these other capabilities, and it has some humanities. And this is where we're covering our humanities part of the Victorian curriculum. And that's where we learn about geography and history and economics, and we learn to inquire in this area. What we do is we dedicate 2 weeks in our every term, 2 weeks to inquire. So in 3 to 6, that is their pure inquiry time, and in prep to 2, it's a very guided teacher-directed inquiry. We really try and teach our children to be inquirers, but it is quite a difficult skill to do naturally. So we have to explicitly teach how to do this. Throughout the term, we pre-teach vocab. We use our literacy sessions to build knowledge in this area before the learning quest actually commences in the last 2 weeks of the term. We also have a learning summit, but unfortunately, I think we've only had one learning summit since we've opened due to COVID. But we do have an opportunity at this learning summit for parents to come in and see the learning that's happened in those 2 weeks. So yeah, that's something a little bit different than if you've got older children at other schools, that we run it quite differently.
Thanks, Megan. Okay, so don't stress if you see this information flashing past. Some of it will be in your packs. This, for example, was in the small booklet that you would have received when you enrolled. So just some term dates there. I think it's really important to understand our school times because, again, they can be a little bit different to other schools. So our gates are open at 8:30 and the grounds are supervised. You'll see me out the front there welcoming the children in, and our classroom doors are open at 8:35. Our learning begins at 8:45, so our children are in the learning community ready to learn at 8:45. So I think that's really important to note. They get their 2 breaks, of course, a recess break and a lunch break outside. We'll talk a little bit down the track about eating. And then our school day finishes at 3. So one of the reasons behind the change in the timetable is that we understand a lot of children have after school commitments, and we wanted to give them a little bit of a break time between leaving school and then starting that after school commitment. So sport, for example. So we start at 8:45 and we finish at 3, and supervision of the school grounds concludes. And if children haven't been collected by 3:15, when I'm finished on the gate, then those children are brought down to the front office to wait. We have 4 allocated pupil-free curriculum days per year, as all Victorian schools do, and you can see the dates there on the screen. If you haven't been able to get those dates in one of those little booklets, we'll make sure that that's in your parent pack that you can pick up on our first transition session day. Michelle?
Okay, so thank you, Lisa. Our foundation students for the first 3 weeks have a completely different schedule to the rest of the school, so that when they're outside, they're the only ones outside, and there'll always be at least 2 of the foundation teachers out there with them. And this allows the kids to familiarise themselves with the playground, know where the toilets are, and then build relationships within their learning community. We find that particularly those that have siblings, if they're a bit nervous about school, as soon as you're outside, they'll just gravitate towards each other, which is great that the older sibling is looking after them, but we want to make sure that they're building those relationships right from the start, and foster those positive relationships with other foundation kids. And it gives us as teachers a chance to really reinforce that positive behaviour system, and pick up on all those the things that we want to see out in the yard. The children have a separate playground as well. So there's a foundation only playground where when all children are outside, that is purely for the foundation kids. But then we've also got shared areas and a sand pit where they can mingle with other year levels. And then we slowly transition them after those 3 weeks to play with the rest of the school. So eating time is a big one at the beginning of prep. Your child will probably come home and tell you that they didn't get any time to eat, but rest assured we give at minimum 20 minutes in the morning for their fruit and their snack, and then 30 minutes to eat lunch. And this happens in the classroom before they go outside. So there's no food or anything outside. We don't have bins outside. We definitely encourage nude food to reduce the rubbish that we have. And when kids do bring packets and things, they just put that packet back in their lunchbox and take it home. Yeah, we encourage healthy eating as well. And each Thursday, we have a lunch order system that is from an external agency that deliver the food in. It's called Flexi Schools, and there is an app for that as well, where you can order the week before, the day before, whenever you need to. And it's really important that each child brings a water bottle to school every single day, filled with water, not with cordial or juice or anything. And there's multiple opportunities during the day for them to refill that water bottle. Obviously, lots of labels, lots of names on everything, and water bottles and lunch boxes that they are able to open and close themselves.
Thanks, Michelle. Charlotte.
Yeah, so part of our school philosophy is to work as a whole school. So we have many opportunities in which we're able to integrate and develop relationships with students and teachers at external to their current year level. So some of the ways we do this is through excursions. It has been limiting these extracurricular activities in these environments, but we've still been able to develop a sense of community and school togetherness through community performances. Today we just had assembly, which was really exciting to be back and get to celebrate student success. We've had excursions, for example, to the zoo or swimming, and the local botanic gardens as well, to celebrate and integrate school events with the school. We were able to do an Olympics Day this year, which was really exciting for students to be able to develop that sense of school pride and have a really fun day. We've been able to do lots of dress up days and fun activities such as our 100th day of school. So in prep, we count down to our 100 days of prep, and they all get very, very excited to come and dress up and decorate themselves in 100 of something. Us as prep teachers, we also like to get in on it, and we dress up as 100-year-olds because why not? And they do get a great kick out of that, and it's a great opportunity for students to show that pride and excitement about being in prep. Something that is particularly important to us at Botanic is acknowledging and paying our respects to Indigenous and Torres Strait Islanders cultures. One way we do this is at the start of the year we have a smoking ceremony, which we come together as a school and as families and parents as well with the children to set our intentions and hopes for the year to come, and encourage and embed the Indigenous cultures in us as a way to show respect and bring that school pride into the community.
Thanks, Charlotte. Scott.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, so as you will be aware, our transition program begins next week on Tuesday. So you will have received an email with the details of that. So we have the first 2 sessions go from 9 until 10 o'clock. But we did realise there was a slight error. We apologise for that. But the last 2 sessions go from 9 until 10:30. So just a little bit longer just to build up that stamina with being at school. So the reason that schools do transition is that it's really an opportunity for children to familiarise themselves with the classroom. Other children, we do have children coming from quite a number of kinders. So your child may be coming on their own, a really good chance for them to get to know some other people, start to familiarise themselves just with other children, as well as the Botanic Ridge staff as well. So on your transition day, we are going to get you to enter through the gate, which is located next to the kinder. And I know Lisa has put a picture on the letter that she sent out that just shows where it is. We'll probably also put some signs up just so it's nice and clear as to which gate you need to enter through. So what you'll do is as you come through, we'll have some lists. And you'll need to find your child's name on a list. We're going to be putting them into some groups. Just be aware that each week these groups may not be the same, they may change. We're going to be experimenting with different dynamics of children, looking at some friendships as well. So please don't think that, if your child goes to Miss Ruba, that's your child's foundation teacher for next year. This is just a chance for us to get to know them, but also a chance for other staff to build an understanding and change a few things around like that. So once you've found which group they're going to, you'll need to sign them in at the door, and they will have their own special name tag so that we know their name, and that just helps us to learn their names quickly as well. At the end of the session, you're going to be picking them up from the door at the Green Learning Community. They don't need to wear a school uniform for transition. They can come in their casual clothes. But at the end of the session, it's going to be really important for us to sort of touch base as well, just to know who is going with who. So we'll also be getting you to sign them out as well. As our restrictions at the moment, we do sort of encourage that if you can sort of say goodbye to them at the door, that would be really good. If you do feel that you do need to come in with your child, that is okay. However, you will need to check in using the service app, but also you'll need to show proof of double vaccination as well. So there'll be a staff member at the door to be checking those things if you do need to come in. The only thing that they will need to bring to the session is a drink bottle. Just make sure it's got a name on it. I know last year we had drink bottles come in without names, so we had quite the collection towards the end of transition. So just make sure they've got a name on it. They don't need to bring any food, and they'll be receiving a transition bag, which will have a whole lot of information and some things that they can do over the holidays to prepare for school. Those of you who have a child that attends Botanic Ridge Kinder, I've spent this afternoon speaking with Miss Lisa and Amanda just about a few things. And so they are one of them will be attending our sessions, and hopefully another staff will be able to come with them. So if it is their kinder day, bring them straight to the school first to go through transition. At the end of the session, they will go back with their kinder teacher back over to the kinder. And yeah, thanks, Lisa. Just on that with transition, we're also going to be having conversations with kinders at the moment. So I've just spoken with Botanic Ridge Kinder, but we'll be getting into contact with your child's kinder just to find out any information. And I'm sure you probably are aware that there's transition statements. I know there's a parent section of that. So as soon as you can return that section of it, that then gets passed on to the school so that we have any extra information that we need to know about your child. Thanks, Lisa. So at the beginning of foundation, really important to know that yes, our gates are open at 8:30. Learning begins at 8:45 until 3. So I know there's other schools out there that may do like a half day, or they may sort of build them up. We start the full school day from the get-go. So 8:45 until 3 o'clock. It is a long day for them, but they do build up their stamina. In terms of how it's going to begin, um, we do start the year with some testing that we do just to find out where your child is in terms of academically. So we do some literacy testing. So there's some things like we read some books together, we look at their alphabet knowledge, we look at things like rhyming and a few other little things. We also do some numeracy testing as well. This really helps the teachers to find out where to begin with your child, so that they're not, they're not being they're not being taught something that's far too hard for them, or if they already know something, that we can try and offer them some extending there. So with the testing, we do have some days where the children don't attend school, and this allows the foundation teachers to be able to conduct that testing. It is one-on-one, so the child and the teacher. You don't have to be present. You don't come in for it. So it's just with their teacher for that time, and you'll receive a letter that has the day, the time, in terms of when that is. So in week 1, you'll notice that the children are starting on the 1st of February, but then the following day is the first day of testing for us. So there'll be some children who will be doing some testing on that day. Then they're back at school on the Thursday, Friday. So basically for the month of February, they will have Wednesdays off up until week 5. That's on there. So there will be a time where they come in, do their testing, and then other days they will have Wednesdays off until we are ready to go full time. And that time when we go to the full week is probably one of the hardest for them. They will be very, very tired by the end of it, but it's a really good way to build them up into full time schooling. We're also hoping to have a smoking ceremony as well, just to welcome them to the school as well. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Michelle?
Oh.
So preparing your child for school, these are just some of the things that we recommend that you start working on now. It's really important to encourage their independence in packing bags, especially in today's climate. Touch wood that we never go into another lockdown, but if we do, and you're not able to come into the building, they need to be able to carry their bag by themselves, pack their bags, make sure that they've got all their belongings, and that it can be done through modeling and like physically showing them how to do it, and then praising them and building their confidence with how they're going. Encourage sharing. So whether they have siblings or not, just sharing different things. We don't share food or anything at Botanic Ridge Primary School, but toys, pencils, anything that we might be using in the classroom together. Recognizing their name is a big one. Where they come in and put their bags, we will have their name there, so they know that's their spot each day. Reading books every day is really important. So even just listening to books, children pick up on that vocab and the language, and build comprehension just by talking about what you've read. Lots of conversation. So oral language is really important, and that's really the foundation to being able to read and write. I know that Scott mentioned before writing their name, and a lot of kinders might use a different font, which is okay, but there are some kinders that still teach all in capital letters, and we try and encourage that the first letter is a capital in their name, and then it's followed by lowercase letters. And just practicing one-to-one counting. So it could even be while you're driving along, you could count the red cars that you see, or you could count cows or anything like that. And then we also have some physical skills. So putting on their jumper and taking it off, Most of our jumpers, except for the woolen blend one, have a zip. Their bags obviously all have zips. A lot of lunch boxes have zips, so practice of that. Opening and closing lunch boxes and drink bottles. Lots of colouring. Things that help strengthen their fingers and their hands are pinching, pulling and twisting. So lots of colouring, using pegs to pick things up, threading beads and threading small things onto string.
Thanks, Michelle. Liana.
Hi. So yep, things to pack in their school bag. So some fruit when we have our snack. We have some fruit time first, so we encourage students to have a piece of fruit first. And then we have our lunch later on, so we will encourage students to save their sandwich or their larger meal to have at lunchtime. As mentioned before, make sure you bring a water bottle and that there's only water in there, and students are required to wear the school hat. It doesn't hurt to have a spare hat in their bag as well, because sometimes often students lose their hat. And their book bag is something that they bring to school every day, so that's like a little navy envelope where we send them their everyday readers and their words that they practice. Accidents do happen, and it's no big deal. If they do have an accident, students will be sent down to the office. So please pack a spare pair of shorts or pants or the skirt, and socks and underwear as well in a plastic bag. We will most likely use that plastic bag to put their dirty clothes in. You probably heard this a lot. Make sure everything is labeled. And yeah, as mentioned before, make sure that they can open and close their lunchbox. So take them shopping with you, let them choose one that they like. And also, we don't apply sunscreen on children. I know a lot of kinders, the teachers there apply sunscreen. We don't actually apply sunscreen, but you're welcome to pack them some sunscreen so that they can apply themselves. We recommend a roll-on because that's usually a bit easier for them to use. And also, if your child requires any medication, it will be kept at the office and they will be sent to the office to have their medication administered. There's forms and things you need to fill out. So they won't be able to keep that in their bags. And yeah, just get your child to practice packing their bags, unzipping it, because sometimes they struggle to really push things to the back and close that zip. So yeah,
Thanks, Liana.
no worries.
Okay, so essential items parents payment. So the school council has endorsed the school fees for 2022 to be $250. So that is a one-off fee that you pay for the entire year, and it will cover student stationery. It covers some online education programs that the children have access to. So we, for example, use Nessie and Wooshka and Mathletics, so they're included. It also contributes to the materials used across the curriculum, art supplies, etc. There is also an opportunity if a parent wishes to make a contribution to support our playground improvement fund. We're looking, we'd love to be buying some more playground equipment. We were very lucky this year. We have 2 shade sale grants that we were able to get, but there will be one section of the playground that that we still need to put a shade sale over. So once you pay your $250, all those essential items will come to the school. You do not need to go out and purchase them or have a book list or go to Officeworks or wherever and do all of that. It will be here, ready and waiting for your child. So on that first transition session, there will be a white folder waiting for each family, and you'll receive a BPay code in there. And please, if you could return the parent payment commitment form, which will also be in there, back to the school by the last transition session. So you can fill that out and return it on any of those transition sessions, or you could return it to the office. You could even return it through a sibling that currently is with us. We would appreciate that parent payments are made before the 28th of January so that we can ensure that we have everything ready and waiting for our families. Support is available for families, so if you are a family that is in need of support, please don't think that your child will miss out. There's absolutely support available for you. So as I said, all of the essential items are delivered to the school and will be distributed as needed by the classroom teachers. The only other costs that you would incur during the year would be for things like excursions or swimming or extra things that come along. So if you have any questions about parent payments, please pop them in the chat or pick up the phone. The ladies in the office are fantastic, and they will be eager to answer any of your questions. This is really important. So also in that pack that you're going to receive, there are going to be some permission forms for you to fill out. The first one is a local excursion consent form, and that just gives us consent for the children to just go on a walking activity within our local environment. So something that doesn't involve getting on a bus, for example, or having any adventure activities. So, for example, if our foundation children were working on looking at the environment, they could go for a walk around our local estate and they could be looking for all sorts of things that they can see in their local environment. And that would mean that we could just tell you that that was going to happen, but we wouldn't need you to fill out another form for that to happen. So that's the first one. The second one is also really important, photographing, filming and recording students. So it's important to note this one is an opt-out form. So if you tick the boxes on this form and send it back, you are saying that your child is not able to be included in any of our social media posting, promotional material, and there's another section about their photo up in the school community. And that is perfectly okay, but just be clear that if you are ticking that form, that's an opt-out. We also, the third one is our digital technologies acceptable use policy, and this goes in with our digital diligence, and it's just a policy that says that the children and yourselves agree to work within the school to promote a safe and responsible use of technology and online behaviours. So all of those forms will be in that white pack. Don't stress if you're not coming to that first transition session. We can get that pack to you in other ways. Another important thing is if you are interested in any of the school's policies, if you'd like to find out what the asthma policy is or what the homework policy is, for example, you can go onto our website and in the About Us section at the top, there's a drop down that will take you to the policies and you can download them, read them. So they're all there ready to go along with the strategic plan, our past strategic plan. Our past annual report, for example, we're pretty new, so there's not a whole lot in that space to get away from the sun. But we're just about to embark on our next strategic plan. We've just been through review. But if you are interested in any of those things, that's where you'll find them. So student dress code policy, that's where you'd be able to find it. And we've got Their Care, and I believe, Charlotte, you're sitting with Donna there. Their Care is our before and after school care provider.
Hello everyone, thanks Lisa. Hi, I'm Donna. I've been with the program at the school since the school began last year, and we started with a pretty tiny program last year. We had 8 kids, I think was the most we had. We're now growing, we're up to about 20 to 25 kids. At the moment with a maximum of 45, which is able to grow if need be. We have a big range of preps to grade 1s that come to our program. We have a few of the older kids, but mainly we're preps and 1s at the moment. For the new families coming that all year, we deliver your preps straight to the classroom. They're not just let out and told go to class. We'll walk them over. We also pick them up from their classrooms at 3 o'clock and bring them over to the program so that they're safely transitioned between class and our program. Now we have a couple of older kids, and I've had one of our children has created a letter and he wants to tell you a little bit about our program. His name is Sebastian, and he goes, Their Care is a fun place. You get food, toys. The food for breakfast is spaghetti on toast, cereal, fruit, Milo, cheese toasties, fruit smoothies, pancakes, and toast. And for afternoon tea, fruits, chocolate cake, crackers, ham and cheese toasties, nachos and salsa, garlic bread, pasta, muesli bars, muffins, and games in the room you can play is drawing, Play-Doh, armour beads, dolls, board games, kinetic sand, Lego, farm toys, shopping, soccer, games in the hall that we can play, a poison ball, free time, China wall, octopus, dodgeball, tiggy games, and outside free play. Thank you, Seb.
Seb loves his food by the sound of that, Donna.
Yes.
Then,
So,
starting
we welcome all new families, and you can create an account on Fully Booked, and also you can also gain assistance from myself. I'm available during the day from 8:45 to 9:30 most days, and from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock before children are picked up if you're down here a bit early and you need some assistance.
Thank you. And the program starts at 7 a.m. in the morning and then concludes at 6 o'clock at night. Is that correct, Donna?
Yep. So 7 a.m. to 8:45 is the before school care session, and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. is the after school session. And we also run pupil free day programs from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Thanks, Donna. We're not currently running a holiday program, and that's because we started with low numbers. So we have some other Their Care schools that do run holiday programs that our children have under normal circumstances would have access to, but it is something that we're looking to in the future should we get the interest. And the best thing to find out about fees, etc., is to contact Their Care directly, and they'll be able to answer all those questions. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thanks, Lisa.
Megan.
While we're there, Donna, we've got a few questions, Donna, coming through about Their Care. So is there any late fees associated with Their Care after the 6:15 pickup?
The 6 o'clock pickup is yeah, and then there's a late fee of $1 a minute.
$1 a minute.
From there.
And I've got another question about the hours. Will that ever be extended, or is that just it's those times and it can't be anymore?
From past history, that Their Care will, if there's enough interest, Their Care will put a survey out to the families within the area, and there is possibility to change that.
Yeah. So if you've got any questions about Their Care, yeah, give them a call, and they'll be able to answer
And
a lot
on
more
the
questions.
information sheet is the service number, so they can call me directly if they need to.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
All right, so we do have volunteering in our school, and this is Barbara in the photo in year 1 too in our learning community, and so we encourage our parents to come in, and sometimes they're not always put in with the learning area that your child may be in. We just sort of see where they're needed, and then they're used in different ways depending on where they're placed. So we have volunteers doing reading, we'd have volunteers doing our decodable and breakable words, we've got volunteers going on camps, school excursions at the minute. So depending on the need, that can look different depending on which learning community you're volunteering. In the office, they're always looking for volunteers as well. We're always looking for library volunteers. So there's different areas within the school that you are able to volunteer. You just come to the office, have a conversation, and we can find you something to do always when you come up to the office. You do have to have a double vaccination, and you will need a volunteer working with children's check, and that gets kept at the office, so we'll need to take a photocopy of that. Every term we hold volunteer induction sessions, and so you need to attend these volunteer induction sessions before you go into the communities and volunteer. But yes, we love people coming in, and the kids absolutely love having people in and hearing them read and going through their words. They really enjoy the time.
Thanks, Megan. Okay, Scott, I'm just going to bring these up quickly, and then Scott, you can.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, so there's probably a few just frequently asked questions that we normally get. So the first one is if your child is late for school or if you need to collect your child early. So really simple. If they are late, you'll need to sign them in, or if you need to collect them early, you'll need to sign them out at the office prior to dropping them off or picking them up. And in terms of, we know that, sometimes you have to have appointments and, dentist and things like that. We do ask if you could please try to avoid making these appointments during the school day as best as you can, but obviously, sometimes these things can't be avoided. If your child becomes sick or injured at school, so if they are sick or injured, they will visit first aid at the office, and you'll receive a phone call from the office to inform you, if they need to be collected. For minor injuries and things like that, you might just receive an alert on Compass. Sometimes it's just a little bit of TLC that they need, but you probably won't receive an alert about that. If your child has any toileting accidents at school, as Liana mentioned before, just for their privacy, we'll send them up to the office to be changed. If it is a bad situation, you may receive a phone call from the office if they need to be collected. So really important to remember that spare change to be packed in their bag. If your child requires medication at school, so all medications have to be dropped off at the office and they are administered down at the office. You will need to sign forms for medications to be administered. For any children who have anaphylaxis or asthma, really important that we are getting those action plans in as soon as possible, just so that we can make staff aware in terms of, if we need to be provided with an EpiPen or a puffer and things like that. I think
Thanks,
there's
Scott.
another one, Lisa.
Yeah, I'll bring
There's
them.
more. We get lots of questions. If your child is absent from school, so it is important that you do lodge your child's absence via Compass. If you don't, you will actually receive a message asking to explain their absence. Attendance is very important at school. If they're not there, they can't learn. So we do ask that you are providing a reason for why they may be absent via Compass. When are you going to find out who your child's teacher is? You'll be receiving a letter, hopefully by our last transition session. We're hoping to have our classes all sorted by then, but you'll be receiving a letter that says who their teacher is, as well as that testing time that I was talking about earlier tonight. If your child is involved in a behaviour incident, these things happen at schools, so you will be notified via Compass. Then the classroom teacher will communicate with you further about the incident and any follow-up that needs to take place about it. And we do ask, that you do respectfully come and speak to us if you do have any questions or concerns about a particular incident, so that we can do the best to try and support the situation and try and resolve it as quickly as possible. Does the school run parent-teacher conferences? Yes, we run we call them our learning focus forums. And that's an opportunity for you to find out how your child is progressing, discuss any learning goals, and to really work together on how we can best support your child. We also have our continuous reporting that I talked about earlier through our learning tasks that are shared via Compass as well. I did see a question before about accelerated learning, or if a child is working above in a particular area. The way our learning communities work, we are very fortunate that we have multiple classes. So what teachers do is we do some assessment. We put we look at the data, so what children are achieving in terms of a particular skill, and then we might sort of group them. So if there's children who need a bit more support with a particular area, we may group them together. And then there may be some children who need extending further out. So we try and group the children so that we are giving them what they need at their point of need with their learning. But all of that will come out through testing, and obviously teachers will let you know if your child is needing to be extended even further than that. But we do manage to cater for those needs within our classrooms as well, but also the team working together. Really important to know that the teachers who are in foundation, they're not just their class and that's who they worry about. We do focus on all of the children as a collective because we want the best for all of them. So we're there to support them all. So they may end up particularly something like phonics. We run phonics groups. So you may find that they, they have one home group teacher, but for phonics, they may go and work with one of the other foundation teachers. And then for maths, they might work with another teacher. Or they might be lucky and they get to work with their homeroom teacher every time. So yeah, it's really just a matter of where the teachers are placed and what the data looks like as well.
Thanks, Scott. Oops.
So the last thing before we open up to any other questions is just how to stay connected with us. So we do try to stay as paperless as possible. Obviously, there are certain things that we can't avoid paper, but most of our communication will go through Compass. So reports, the learning tasks, power-ups, first aid, any behaviour things. We do encourage, if you do need to contact their teacher, you can call through the office or use the school email as well. We also have our Facebook and our Instagram, so we have some social media and YouTube as well. And so we put information out on there just to try and keep you up to date. So really important that you do get onto Compass as soon as you can, so that you can stay informed. But yeah, if you do have any of those other social media platforms, jump on those as well. Sometimes we might post photos from a fun sports day that we've had, and you might so you might be able to see your child having some really good fun there. The last one that we also use is an app called Seesaw. I know some kinders may use the Seesaw app. So it's just a platform that we have fortunately had to use during our remote learning periods as well. But it's a way that we can put some photos up of what your child might be learning. But there's also a messaging function as well, so that if you need to request a meeting with your child's teacher, you can message them about that. Or if there's something other questions that you need answered, you can also ask that through Seesaw. Really important though that teachers don't spend their day checking Seesaw messages. So if it is an urgent message, so say grandma's coming to pick them up instead of you, that you do make sure that you call through the office. The office will be able to let the classroom teacher know as soon as possible. Because obviously at the end of the day, something that can be quite confronting for children is if there's not someone that they recognise there to pick them up. So if we have that prior warning, we can sort of set them up with it as well.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, so we've reached the end of our presentation. What I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Megan, you've been monitoring the chat. I know she's been answering some of the questions as we've gone along. But now if anyone has any other burning questions, some questions we may...
Some questions you've answered, but some we haven't. So I had a question about the pants for girls. What options do they have for wearing pants?
Yes, absolutely. They can wear the pants. Primary school wear has two styles of pants that the children can wear. I believe they're unisex. So there's either a straight-legged navy blue, dark navy blue gabardine pant, or there's one that has a cuff at the bottom.
All right. So another PSW question about stock, and I'm not sure. Do you know? Have you spoken to PSW lately, Lisa, about their stock levels?
No, I don't know. I have no answer to that one, but it's something I can take on notice and find out.
Yeah. Do the girls have the choice of a polo short or skirt combo as well as the checkered combo summer outfit?
Absolutely, yes. We have quite a few of our foundation girls who will wear either. So some days you'll see them in the checkered combination, and some days you'll see them in the skirt and the polo shirt or the shorts.
Okay. We've answered the one about Kinder Friends and put that in the parent pack. There'll be a form in there that you can request to be with your Kinder Friend. We do take that into account when we place children in the grades, but yeah, please put their name down in that pack and send it back to the office. We had another, that's the same as teachers. We try our best to accommodate your request for a teacher, but at the minute, it's really difficult because, if everyone wants the one teacher and they swap around,
Yep.
they're moving around constantly. So you might think that you're getting Miss Ruba, but they may not spend their time with Miss Ruba most of the day. So yeah, that one's a difficult one. You can let us know, but it may not happen. It's difficult for us to get that going. So I've answered the children. There's 71 children enrolled currently. Toileting. Children must, they do ask to go to the toilet during class time, and at the beginning of prep, they go with a buddy. The toilets are internal. They don't have to leave the learning community. It's it's like maybe 10 steps to the toilets, but that we do send them with a partner at the start, and that gradual release, by the end of prep, they should be going by themselves. They don't need to go with a partner anymore because they all know where it is, and there's no chance for them to be getting lost when they're in the learning communities. However, when they're in STEM and art, they go outside to go to the toilet, so then they take a buddy. So they will go take a buddy with that. And when we're on yard duty and we're outside, they just go to the toilet when they're in the playground they usually go with friends. They don't often just go by themselves. So that answers that one. We don't have buddies as such. That's another question.
Yes.
We don't
So
have buddies. Yeah.
one of the things we've tried to get off the ground, but because we've had 2 years of interrupted learning through going in and out of remote, it's something that we hadn't really got going yet, but it is certainly something that we aim to work with next year.
Yeah. We do quite a bit together.
Yes.
So every second Wednesday afternoon, we have whole school activity where they in their houses, and we either play a whole school game. We play, we do different fun activities as a whole school. We're lucky enough to be quite a small school still, and that builds, and they with their family. Usually, if they've got brothers and sisters, are in the same house. And so they that time to make their friends in different year levels. Are there any food type restrictions?
No, so it is impossible to be, for example, a nut-free school. We know that's impossible, so that we can't lay claim to that. If we had a child in your learning community that had a particular allergy, there will be information that would go home to the families within that learning community to warn you of that allergy that the child has. We have a strict no sharing of food policy, so the children don't have the opportunity to share food. And also things like birthdays, for example, we don't allow birthday cakes to come in. Rather, we encourage you to, if you really want to send something for the children to share, then it's a wrapped lolly bag. So every item within that bag would be wrapped, for example, so the receiving parent absolutely knows what's in it, or something like some bubbles or something like that. So yes, if we have a child in your learning community who has particular allergies, you will be warned about that, and you'll be discouraged from sending foods that child is particularly allergic to. But we absolutely acknowledge that we can't rule out foods.
All right, the next question I think is for one of the foundation teachers to answer about in the mornings for separating with transition and when they first start foundation, what should they do?
I'll jump in. So I guess transition is a really good time to start to see how kids go with separating. We will try and make the situation as positive as possible. As I said before, if you do feel you do need to um, come in, help them to settle into an activity. One of our staff will obviously be aware, and we'll try and sort of, I guess, distract a little bit. But sometimes one of the best things to do is to, once there is a staff member working with them, is to just go and really resist that urge to come back. Sometimes children, it may only take them a little bit of time to settle into an activity, to sort of take their mind off things. If they then see mum or dad again, it then starts the whole thing rolling again. So really important to just try and settle them into an activity. We want to make sure that I guess the conversation about school is really positive. Oh, it's going to be really fun. You'll do lots of things. Adding those things to sort of take their mind off that whole separation part. I'll see you at the end of the day. I'll see you at this time. I'll be here to pick you up. All of those sorts of things can help to sort of reassure them. I know we in Foundation, we get lots of questions. Oh, when is it time to go home? And we usually respond with, in this much time or after this happens, we'll use a visual schedule. After this has happened, then it'll be time for us to go home and we'll get to see our mums and dads again. But if there are some severe separation issues, obviously that's probably a conversation we want to have with you prior or as transition is going, and just seeing what we can do together to best support. Sometimes things like it could depend on who drops them off. I know in my teaching experience, I remember I had a little boy who had to be dropped off by Auntie, because Auntie was the only person that he would go, and he was fine dropping him off. So sometimes trying someone different, dropping them off can help those situations too. Hopefully I've answered that question for you.
Yeah, so Scott,
right.
we would always make sure that we would contact you. So if we've asked you to leave and your child is still distressed or upset to a point, we won't leave you hanging. We'll contact you to say, no, everything's great. They're having a good time. But certainly, if your child has any particular needs that you feel that we need to know about, now is the time to tell us about it so that we can put a plan in place.
Okay, so there's another question about show and tell. So Michelle, did you want to answer that about show and tell and toys, bringing toys to school?
Yeah, so we don't generally have a specific show and tell time. Around birthdays and things like that, where the children are welcome to bring things in. Toys, it's a tough one because particularly in the beginning, if they bring a toy to school, which they are more than welcome to, and it does stay in their bag, and they can take it outside, but if it gets lost or broken, there's nothing we can do about it. So if it's their favorite toy and they would be heartbroken if anything happened, don't bring it. We discourage swapping of toys. So occasionally there'll be children who bring 2 toys in and then they'll swap, and then a couple of days later they'll be upset. So we have plenty of toys and we have plenty of sandpit things that they can play with outside. There's no strict no, you can't bring them, but it's it's just advised that you think about it before you bring it.
All right, thank you. And the last question is there an expectation that the child will need access to a tablet at home? That's an interesting question with being in remote learning. Usually we don't recommend any use of a tablet. There are online programs that they are more than welcome to use, like Nessie, Bushka and Mathletics at home, that they can use on a tablet, they can use on a computer, they can use on a phone. However, in these times, they've heavily relied on their use of their iPad, being in remote learning. But we did have access for children to borrow an iPad from the school in that case, if they didn't have one at home. So no, we don't say you need one at home. It's totally your choice, and what you do at your house and what technology you have, that's your choice. I think that's it. Any other questions?
So just to let you know that the session tonight has been recorded. We will put it on our school YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and have a look at any of the slides, you will be able to do so. We will make sure that this information is in your pack so that you have that. Please pick up the phone, email, come in and have a chat. Absolutely, any questions that you have, we'd love to be able to answer. And we look forward so much. We're looking forward to seeing all the kids next Tuesday. So we're very excited. All right, so thank you, and thank you for being with us in this unusual environment, and a particular thank you to the staff also for being here this evening. And we can't wait to start that relationship with you. And good night. Thanks.
Thank you. You'll have to just stop the recording now, Lisa.